born in 1985, so I am a member of Generation Y, a millennial. And we have also been labeled as Generation Me or Generation Selfish. I don't necessarily agree with these terms, but who am I to say? I wrote a whole doctoral dissertation about myself. I remember working with computers for ages, since I was in the first grade. And I remember I was on third grade when I first interacted with somebody online. So chatting with somebody. A person I have never met, person I never met again, person I never met in person. And I have grown up with technology, so I sort of take it for granted. And the next question is that aren't we all using computers now? So what is the difference? Well, different generations have been excited about technology in a very different ways. For example, my parents, they have been excited to have a second TV channel or color in TV or a phone in their house. Well, I have been excited about technology in a very different way. And one might say that each generation is sort of an illustration of its time. And each generation has a collective memory. So if you talk to a person that belongs to the same generation as you remember the same things when you were growing up. Because those events, those things that happen to you when you are growing up, when you are a child or in your early adulthood, those shape your mindset and those shape your values and perception and expectations that are, of course, reflected in working life. So you might remember, if you talk to a person that belongs to the same generation as you remember the games you played or the TV shows that you watched. Or like in my parents' case, the TV shows you didn't watch because you didn't have a TV. So we are really comfortable with technology and we like to be online. We like to interact online. And it's sort of, we have gotten used to the idea that we have everything we need in our pockets. So the whole world is just one click away. As a consequence, we have the need to find information quickly, and we need to contact our friends quickly. So we might be a bit impatient. I don't necessarily agree, but just in case, don't ask my mom. I also remember when I got my first mobile phone. I was 13 at the time, so if you think about the kids nowadays, it's way too late. But anyways, it was the first time when I started contacting my friends. Of course, at that time, it only meant SMS. You had to fit everything, and I mean everything, in 160 characters. So the kids nowadays, they have WhatsApp and Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and whatever. So they don't know anything about the challenges we faced with our black and white mobile phones, only using SMS, or playing the snake game. Who remembers the snake game? And another interesting thing about my mobile phone was that I was able to choose the color of the front cover of the phone. And I remember my mom asking which color would I prefer. And I thought that I should go for green. And the reason was that we had horses at the time that ate green grass. So it might seem like a long shot, but that was a way to represent myself. It was a way to illustrate who I am, the things that are important for me. And even though it was only the fact that we had these weird horses that ate green grass, it was a way to show my individualism. And interestingly, this is one thing that has been attached to Generation Y. We like to be taken as individuals. So it means that we're not too worried or we're not too bothered if a person working in customer service has piercing or tattoos. It's not a difficulty for us. Or that you can, by the way a person dresses, you can tell what kind of music they listen. So that is showing our individualistic side. Another things that have shaped our mindset are horrible events, and I'm referring to natural disasters and terrorist attacks and school shootings. And the difference is because, of course, horrible things have happened throughout the human history, but the difference is that we have been able to watch these things live stream in our own living room, in our own sofa. So those events, even though they happened far away, they came really close. And we have to remember that at the time we were growing up. So we sort of got the idea or realized that the world might not be a safe place as we had thought. And it also meant for us that life could end unexpectedly. So we should just make the most of it and enjoy life. Another horrible event, and I'm talking about the recession, the economic downturn in the beginning of the 90s. And that affected us in very different ways. So for us, it meant that we perhaps had to watch our parents struggle. There might have been unemployment or other things. But it also got us thinking that the organizations might not be able to look after their own people, even if they wanted to. So it represented for us the uncertainty, the fragmentation in working life. So steady jobs or lifelong careers, they have not been the option for us. And we sort of acknowledged that, and we sort of knew this. So growing up in this climate of, and this atmosphere of uncertainty has really, so we are really comfortable with change. Because we have also told at school that that you should have several professions or several occupations to make it until the retirement age. So we know that things are changing, and the only constant thing is change. And I think our idea or our perception of change, because we are quite comfortable with that, that is something that the organizations could utilize. I see a lot of possibilities in our characteristics and what we have to offer, for organizations. My doctoral dissertation was titled as "It's So Nice to Be at Work." And I think it very neatly illustrates the message I'm trying to deliver. So first, we know that because the working life is turbulent, and there is a lot of uncertainty and part-time work, we know and appreciate having a place to work. Well, second, we have sometimes been blamed that because we say that work should be nice. And I ask, why not? Why couldn't working life be nice? And by nice, I mean having social relationships at work, having a nice working community, having a nice and open atmosphere at work. The Generation Y type of nice isn't about ignoring the importance of work. It's not about showing bad performance. It's just enjoying work like we enjoy any aspect of our lives. And third, because sometimes we have been called as lazy as well, and not too keen on working and doing other things in the meantime. But these are not the words of a millennial who is not motivated, who is showing bad performance, or who is not committed to their work. This is the words of a millennial who is satisfied with their workplace, motivated, and willing to do their very best for the organization. So I suggest that the new norm in working life should actually be nice. And this Generation Y type of nice, it means having a meaningful job description. Because when you have a say at your content, your job content, then it's much more easy to also do the task that might not be your cup of tea. This Generation Y type of nice also means flexibility. So flexibility in when we work, where we work, with who we work, what tools, what techniques we're using. And because we really value social ties, so it means our friends and our family, or it could be that we have a hobby that is like fulfilling our dreams. So we want to have a balance between the work and between everything else. So promoting a work-life balance and promoting flexibility is something that Generation Y is actually saying. But we also understand that it's not only a one-way street. So we also have to contribute to the workplace. We also have to contribute to the working environment. And there are lots of things that we can teach to older generations. And there are lots of things that the older generations need to teach us. Also, the meaning of supervisor. And now I'm looking at you, managers and supervisors, because the Generation Y doesn't see the supervisor as a hierarchical authority. The supervisor for Generation Y is sort of a personal trainer, not only in their current work, but also in their whole career. So like any personal trainer who knows your starting point, knows where you're going, and knows the steps that you need to take in order to get where you want to be. And also, both formally and informally, checks every once in a while where you are, whether you are on the right track. That is how Generation Y sees their supervisor. So good luck, supervisors, on doing that, because it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of effort. And I think the Generation Y is really putting a lot of pressure on supervisory work. Of course, we know that the supervisor also needs tools and time and things like that in order to cater for our needs. But that is how we see the relationship with our supervisor. They're sort of like a coach. Doesn't it sound good? Doesn't it sound like something that we all would like to have at our work, to have a meaningful job and enjoying ourselves? Well, the difficulty is that we see different sides of things. So, for example, if we talk about work environment, for some people it might be, I'm not necessarily saying to older generations, but for some people, it might mean that people are just minding their own business at work, concentrating on work, and leaving their personal life at home. Well, now we have this generation who comes to the workplace as a whole. We don't leave our personal life at home. And what we do is that we really would like to and expect that our personal issues, our personal things, are also taken into consideration at work. So good luck again. For us, nice working community means those informal relationships with your colleagues. It means coffee breaks. It means lunchtime. It means laughing at work. It means talking about things not related to work to the point where somebody might be thinking that, well, nothing is happening, and they actually are lazy. But that is something that we need. That is something that we cherish and value. So I would suggest that the potential in millennials, in us, Generation Y, is rather underutilized. And what is even more underutilized is us, different generations, working together. We can learn so much from each other, and we can utilize these differences, and we can learn together as a working community. I will end my presentation with some quotes. They're not words of a fellow millennial, but when I read this quote, I had a feeling that he is actually talking to us. Your work is going to fill a large part of your life. So we know that work is important, and we're not saying, and I'm not saying that we don't understand the meaning of work. It is important. But there are also other aspects of life that could be also important for us and have an effect on our expectations and perceptions at workplace. To be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. Well, talk about meaningfulness and talk about a meaningful work. The only way to do great work is to love what you do. So we just want to enjoy work as we enjoy any aspect of life. And we are able to contribute to the whole working life to make it a better place for everyone. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking. So it might seem that we're not as engaged to the organizations, and actually we can afford to be as engaged and loyal to the one organization as previous generations. But believe me when I say that while we are working for you, we are doing our very best, because we neither can afford to show bad performance or not being efficient and effective enough. Don't settle. Do you know whose words these are?
Steve Jobs. He's the most important one.
Thank you.